and chief of WikiLeaks. Welcome to Democracy Now! Can you talk about this email, these 20,000 emails you have released?
Yeah, it's quite remarkable what has happened the last few days. I think this is quite a classical release showing the benefit of producing pristine data sets, presenting them before the public where there's equal access to all journalists and to interested members of the public to mine through them and have them in a citable form where they can then be used to prop up certain criticisms or political arguments. Often it's the case that we have to do a lot of exploration and marketing of the material we publish ourselves to get a big political impact for it. But in this case, we knew because of the pending DNC, because of the degree of interest in the US election, we didn't need to establish partnerships with the New York Times or the Washington Post. In fact, that might be counterproductive because they are partisans of one group or another. Rather, we took the data set, analyzed it, verified it, made it in a presentable, searchable form, presented it for all journalists and the public to mine. And that's exactly what has happened.
And Julian, your reaction to the announced resignation of Debbie Wasserman Schultz shortly after the release of these emails?
Well, I mean, that's interesting. We've seen that with a lot of other publications. I guess there's a question, what does that mean for the US Democratic Party? It is important for there to be examples of accountability. The resignation was an example of that. Now, of course, Hillary Clinton has tried to immediately produce a counterexample by putting out a statement within hours saying that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a great friend and she's incorporating her into her campaign. She's going to be pushing for her re-election to the Congress. So that's a very interesting signaling by Hillary Clinton that if you act in a corrupt way that benefits Hillary Clinton, you'll be taken care of. Why does she need to put that out? Certainly it's not a signal that helps for the public at all. It's not a signal that helps with unity at the DNC, at the convention. It's a signal to Hillary Clinton partisans to keep on going on, you'll be taken care of. But it's a very destructive signal for a future presidency because it's expanding the Overton window of corruption. It doesn't really matter what you do, how you behave, as long as that is going to benefit Hillary Clinton, you'll be protected.
I mean, it's very interesting because Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine appeared together as Mike Pence and Donald Trump did the week before on 60 Minutes. And Hillary Clinton distanced herself from all these emails in the DNC saying these people didn't work for me. And yet immediately upon the forced resignation of Deborah Wasserman Schultz, she said she's a good friend and immediately hired her. But Julian, I was wondering if you can say, from your point of view, what do you think are the most significant emails that have been released, that you have released?
Well, actually, I think the most significant ones haven't been reported on, although the Washington Post late last night and McClatchy had a first initial stab and added it. And this is the spreadsheets that we released covering the financial affairs of the DNC. Those are very rich documents. There's one spreadsheet called Spreadsheet of All Things, and it includes all the major US, all the major DNC donors, where the donations were brought in, who they are, identifiers, the total amounts they've donated, how much they donated at a particular event, whether that event was being pushed by the president or by someone else. That effectively maps out the influence structure in the United States for the Democratic Party, but more broadly, because the with few exceptions, billionaires in the United States make sure they donate to both parties. So that's going to provide a scaffold for future investigative journalism about influence within the United States in general.
Julian, on that issue, clearly a lot of the emails talk about the actual amounts of money that were being offered to donors for the opportunity to, asked of donors for the opportunity to sit at different events next to President Obama, especially the use of President Obama as a fundraiser. Now, most people in the political world will consider this business as usual, but the actual mechanics of how this operates and the degree to which the DNC coordinates with the president, his marketability, I don't think has ever been revealed in this detail. Would you agree?
That's right. And it's not just that the president holds fundraisers. That's nothing new. But rather what you get for each donation of a particular sort. There's even a phrase used in one of the emails of, quote, pay to play. So, yeah, I think it's extremely interesting. There's emails back and forth also between the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC. So you see quite elaborate structures of money being funneled to state Democratic Party offices and then teleported back. Seemingly to get up certain stats, maybe to evade certain campaign funding restrictions. In relation to what has become the most significant political discussion as a result of their publication, which is that the DNC higher-ups, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz, were clearly against Bernie Sanders and trying to subvert his campaign in a whole raft of ways. That's true. That's the atmosphere that is revealed by hundreds of emails is that it's perfectly acceptable to produce trenchant internal criticisms of Bernie Sanders and discuss ways to undermine his campaign. So whether that's calling up the president of MSNBC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz called the president of MSNBC to haul Morning Joe into line, which it subsequently has done. I noticed this morning Morning Joe actually discussed it themselves, trying to shore up their own presentation of a TV program that can't be pushed around. But in fact, they did not mention the call to the president. That was something that was still unspeakable. And there was a 180-degree flip in that coverage. And you see other, quite naked conspiracies against Bernie Sanders. Why there's been some discussion, for example, about that there was a plan to expose Bernie Sanders as an atheist, as opposed to being a religious Jew, and to use that against him in the South to undermine his support there. There was an instruction by the head of communications, Louis Miranda, to take an anti-Bernie Sanders story that had appeared in the press and spread that around without attribution, not leaving their fingerprints on it. And that was an instruction made to staff. So it wasn't just a plan that may or may not have been carried out. This was an instruction that was pushed to DNC staff to covertly get out into the media anti-Bernie Sanders stories. Another thing that...
On Sunday, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, Robbie Mook, cited experts saying that the DNC emails were leaked by the Russians in an attempt to help Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. Mook was speaking to CNN. This is what he said.
What's disturbing to us is that experts are telling us that Russian state actors broke into the DNC, stole these emails, and other experts are now saying that the Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump. I don't think it's coincidental that these emails were released on the eve of our convention here. We also saw last week at the Republican convention that Trump and his allies made changes to the Republican platform to make it more pro-Russian, and we saw him talking about how NATO shouldn't intervene to defend, necessarily should intervene to defend our Eastern European allies if they're attacked by Russia. So I think when you put all this together, it's a disturbing picture.
So that was Robbie Mook citing experts saying the DNC emails were leaked by the Russians. You were the one who released these 20,000 emails, Julian Assange. Where did you get them?
Well, what's not in that clip there by Robbie is that just afterwards he was asked by Jake Tapper, who are these experts? Can you name them? The answer was no. There was a refusal to name the experts. But we have seen one of the experts, so-called experts, that the Democratic Party is trying to base this incredible conspiracy theory on about WikiLeaks. And that is this, what we jokingly refer to as the NSA dick pic guy. He's a former National Security Agency agent who started to produce conspiracy theories about us in 2013 when we were involved in the Edward Snowden rescue as a means to try and undermine the Snowden publications, subsequently embroiled in some amateur pornography scandal. That's why they don't want to name their experts, because they are people like this. In relation to sourcing, can say some things. We never reveal our sources, obviously. That's what we pride ourselves on, and we won't in this case either. But no one knows who our source is. It's simply speculation. It's, I think, interesting and acceptable to speculate who our sources are. But if we're talking about the DNC, there's lots of consultants that have access, lots of programmers, and the DNC has been hacked dozens and dozens of times, even according to its own reports. It had been hacked extensively over the last few years. And the dates of the emails that we publish are significantly after all but one, it's not clear, of the hacking allegations that the DNC says have occurred.